it's time. If you're wondering why we're doing a newspaper review, yes, we're doing it now because we're going to be connecting live to the Daily Trust Dialogue at 9:30. I said that earlier in the start of the show, where we would also want you to sit back and enjoy the dialogue. I was talking about it with my reviewer here, which I'll join you with him later. We'll talk with him later. But the dialogue has so much to offer year in, year out that, for every time I attend it, it gives me fresh perspective to things, different, angles of people in the society that matters, speaking on things genuinely with thought-provoking questions. So yes, you should totally sit back and watch it. And if you're in Abuja, admission is free, attendance is free. So find your way there and you would definitely not regret going there. But now let's look at stories that made it to the front page of the Daily, starting off with our own Daily Trust. You can see boldly there on the left, Daily Trust Dialogue holds today. It's going to be holding today at the NAF Conference Center and Suites. The theme for it is food security, availability or affordability. Now, for those of you who are not in Abuja or those of you who can't attend it, it's going to be streaming live here on Trust TV. So please catch up and be a part of this conversation today. Now, let's look at the other headline we have boldly there. 1 trillion naira on sold goods recorded in 2024, says man. Nigeria heading towards hyperinflation, expert. And FCT doctors embark on strike over 7 months unpaid salary. NCI to federal government implement policies that will alleviate poverty. Now on security, military kills Turji's second in command, other top commanders. You find that on page 10. And 15 died in Kwara auto crash. On page 30, Damagun can't be removed until December. That is, from the PDP's NWC and their whole drama. Now, NLC protests Telecom's tariff hike, threatens mass action. All right. And on the photo there, left traders at second-hand clothing section in Carmo Market and trading activities as a really Agege market in Lagos State. That's what the pictures depict. Well, those are the stories we have on the front pages of the Daily Trust newspaper. Do well to grab yourself a copy to keep yourself informed and involved in issues that affect you in the nation. Now, let's look at Vanguard. Boldly on Vanguard there, NLC, TUC, CNG, others reject 50% tariff hike. I feel like they are late to the party on this one. But then, moving on. Presidency proposes stricter sanctions on airlines over flight delays and cancellation. Finally, manufacturers, we've taken down Daily Trust. WEF 2025, Nigeria global leaders target $29 trillion African economy by 2050. Birthright citizenship, Nigerians in diaspora kicks say it's illegal. And on sports there, Lukman's irreplaceable, said Atlanta's coach. Well, those are the stories we have on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. Now let's take a look at Punch. Kanu Niger Republic Rail Project. Communities tackle FG over compensation for 3,252 owners. Project continues despite Nigeria-Niger tension. 5,531 persons dissatisfied with compensation. Still on Punch, Mossop faults Tinubu's meeting, monarchs began consultation. That's on oil exploration. APC LP back INEC on by-elections, dismissed Falana's proposal. Alafi Owade puts traditional rights on hold, returns to Canada. Those are the stories we have on the front page of Punch. Now let's look at Guardian. Now on Guardian this morning we have costly by-elections worry INEC as IPAC demands credible polls. All right, and then doctors protest unpaid salaries, ground Abuja hospitals. Economic crisis spikes malnourishment among 5.4 million kids, UNICEF warns. And Lagos warns against sharing child pornography, threatens 14-year jail term. And then we still have Tinubu spends 300 billion naira on Abuja satellite towns in 12 months. Court sentences bishop to 20 years for rape. 22 deaths, 143 confirmed cases of Lassa fever recorded in 2 weeks. And then this story, we had it here earlier. University of Ibadan Teaching Hospital students protest 82 days of blackouts and harsh environment. Those are the stories we have on Guardian. Now let's look at Tribune. NLC kicks against 50% telecom tariff hike. And then Sharia panel holds inaugural sitting in Ekiti. Ekweremadu's wife regains freedom from UK prison, returns to Nigeria. All right. College of Medical Students protest 8-day blackout. Here we have that. French investors eye Ogun Agro Cargo Airport, others. UN seeks $910 million for humanitarian crisis in Northwest. And CBN approves release of FX code to take up January 28. And on the top, Tinubu commits over 30 billion naira to infrastructure development of FCT satellite towns, says Wiki. Well, these are the stories we have on the front page of Tribune. Do well to grab yourself a copy to keep yourself involved. Now, joining us this morning to review, the stories and look at the stories, we have Nasir Lawal, Editor-in-Chief, Dateline Newspapers, is joining us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Good morning. So let's start with the matter at hand, the Daily Trust Dialogue. We believe you'd be there.
Yeah, certainly. I'm going to be there.
So what's your take on, the theme for this year? On food production affordability or availability. What are you expecting from the conversations that will be held there today?
Well, it's going to be a platform for so many people, especially the government, to tell us why, food is not scarce, why so many people cannot afford to buy food, why there are so many challenges, in the food and agriculture sector. So, like I said, we have a new ministry in the country, the livestock ministry. It's going to be an opportunity, for the ministry, for all the speakers to tell Nigerians, these are the things that are responsible for the lack of affordability of food and related items, and then how we are likely going to overcome all these challenges. So I'm going to be there.
All right, I'm glad that you're going to be there. Now, last year was on they were looking, then Tinubu just started his reforms, and lots of permutations that were made last year was what we're seeing play out this year, where they spoke about the economic reforms, gainers or losers. And that last year, a lot of people were like, oh no, it might not be that bad, but during the dialogue, they spoke about how this is going to affect the masses. The masses are the losers, and we're seeing it play out this year. So what is your take on the choices of topics spoken about at the dialogue and the impact he has? What would you say over the years the impact he's had, especially with the topic of choices of topic that's been discussed?
Well, as a newspaper, Daily Trust has the responsibility of providing a platform, for the government, for other stakeholders, to air, the things that they are doing. That's like the best that the Daily Trust can do. It cannot force the government, it cannot force other stakeholders, to a particular line of action. But at least, now that they are providing the platform, they can as well follow up to tell us why, A, B, C, and D are not happening, why the government is not maybe living up to its promises, or why the even environment has changed so much that the government may find it difficult to do some of the things that it intends to do. So, like I said, that's the best that a newspaper can do. It reports your activities, it gives you the platform to do, to reach the audience. That's the responsibility of taking action actually lies with the government and other stakeholders.
Well, it's a good thing the platform has been given. So in or around Abuja, find yourself at NAF conference. You talk about how we open the phone lines here and give you the opportunity to talk. Go there, you're going to meet people, government officials will be present, and you would have the opportunity to ask questions that would definitely be responded to. Attendance is free, so find your way there and keep yourself informed and ask questions to the sources directly. I'm sure you probably get the answers you're looking for at the end of the day. But now let's go straight into our paper reviews. NLC just decided to join the party of protest against tariff after it was hinted a while back, and then the NCC came out to confirm it, saying that okay, as opposed to the 100% increase they want to do, we're going to take 50%, keeping in mind that the last time tariff was increased was in 2013, and we can see that the cost of running business in Nigeria is no longer a joke. These people need to improve on their infrastructure. Now, Nigerians on the other hand are saying, I'm sorry, but your services are not at par in comparison to what you're going to be charging us now. And when we looked at it, you'll be paying 16 naira 50 kobo per call per minute for a call as compared to 11 naira, and your 1 gig data plan is going for that was going for 350 is now 525 naira. SMS is now 6 naira. So these are extra charges in addition to the cost of living in the country. Would you say NLC came late to the party, or they are doing what they are just talking like, okay, because we expect them to talk?
Well, I think that's basically what they are doing, because they represent the workers. They expect workers will expect them to come to their defense, and that's basically what they are doing. But like you said, so many things have changed in Nigeria. The cost of running businesses, honestly, if we are sincere, in the last 12 or so years, so many things have changed, and the telecom companies somehow, were able to keep the price, at without changing anything. But now that the government has approved, the price adjustment for them, I think what the NLC should do is to do exactly what the Consumer Protection Agency is now saying, that look, there must be quality services. We need to see improvement now that you are charging more for calls, for data, and what have you. But for NLC to say they are rejecting it, outrightly, honestly, I don't think that's the best decision they can take, because one, these telecom companies are here to make money, so you don't expect them to be running at a loss. And even if they are to run at a loss, the implication will be that so many people are going to lose their jobs. And what the NLC is now trying to fight, they will still have to fight it in another way. So, like I said, the best for the NLC to do is just to make sure to put pressure on both the regulatory agencies and then the telecom companies to make sure that Nigerians get value for the money that they will be spending.
Just on a side discussion, you see the same thing happening in the power sector. You've increased power, but we're not getting value for our money. And you're complaining about electricity theft. It only happens because the power is out of the reach of the people, and they're finding ways to get it because they need it, and you're not even providing electricity the way it should be. So to the telecommunication company, I believe there's something they can handle. And we're tired of chatting hello when you're trying to make call or do a Zoom meeting. We want to hear beyond that. I want to see better network. Now, the Manufacturing Agency of Nigeria has come out to say that we had 1.4 trillion unsold goods in 2024. What does it say about the purchasing power of Nigerians? And they're saying that we're headed towards hyperinflation. Should we be worried?
Of course, we should be worried, because if our manufacturers will be, producing goods that Nigerians cannot afford, it means some of them will have to fold up completely. They will have to shut down their companies, their facilities, and then it also has implications for the jobs that people are currently doing, and so many like if you cannot afford to buy the things that our manufacturers are producing, it only means that they will have to either stop producing such goods, or they will have to be producing them at a loss. And this is not what we want to see. We want a situation whereby the economy will be that good that Nigerians will be able to afford all the things that you have in the market. It has to do with priorities, I know. You just don't buy anything that you want to buy. You have to do what economists call a scale of preference and what have you, to know that, okay, this one is very important and it's necessary, I have to go for it, and this one is something that I may want to have it, but then I also cannot afford to have it, looking at the condition in the country. But honestly, I think the government especially should worry, especially with regards to the inflation, because this inflation, it's not showing any sign of slowing down. It keeps going up and up. So many people, you take your salary, what you used to buy with your salary, with 20,000 naira, for instance, you now need 100,000 naira to be able to do the same thing. So honestly, I don't want us to, follow up on that line, because if you look at what happened in countries like Zimbabwe, for instance, you need lots of cash to be able to buy, very, very insignificant things. I hope we are not heading in that direction.
Yeah, Nigerians have already started doing comedy skits on how you're going to buy one egg and you're bringing out a nylon of money to go for that. Please, we hope we don't get to that. But you're in the FCT. we're seeing what is happening in the FCT. We wake up one morning and they block everywhere. Next thing you see construction carts everywhere. We know that Wike is the king of bridges, as a way to how. But to be spending over, some papers are saying 30 billion, some papers are saying 300 billion, but a lot is being spent on infrastructure in the FCT. Would you say it is timely, owing to the other infrastructures that need attention by the government? Yes, this is the nation's capital. It expects to look top-notch, which is something that we applaud them for going towards or going for. But there are so many sectors in the country that needs infrastructure. Would you say this is timely? Is that a lot of money to be put into the FCT alone?
Well, certainly not. Even in the FCT, infrastructure is not the only thing that we have. Just look at what resident doctors are already saying. They are now on strike because their salaries, things that are due to them have not been given them. So honestly, even though I will expect the government to continue, with regards to the infrastructural development and all that, they should also look at other critical areas. Like I said, there is insecurity. So many people are still stealing our manhole covers and what have you. If you go to so many parts of the FCT, very dark at night. So there are so many things that also require attention. It shouldn't just be about infrastructure, even though I've been seeing it all over the social media. Some people saying that the government is trying to ensure that Wike has enough money to play with, because that's the only way he will be able to face up to his governor in Rivers. I'm not saying that's exactly what is happening, but the government should not act in a way that will give credence to all the things that people are saying about.
Roads are good for development. So you put a road in a place, development comes in, it opens up the place, reduces crime to an extent. If you grade a road and put up a road there, it opens up. Generally, crime reduces to an extent. So maybe let's just watch, and the money being invested, I would say, could be put in other sectors within the FCT to see something better. But now let's talk about the Damagum, the whole drama there. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Well, it's like PDP is not ready for 2027, because if you are ready for 2027, honestly, this is the time to get your acts together, to put your house in order, because there are so many things that you will need to do, and you cannot go to war with divided house. So that's basically the thing. So like I once said on this platform, Nigerians have a responsibility to make sure that all these opposition parties are doing what they are supposed to do, because in the long run, we may have to look to them to put pressure on the government to do one or two things. Like I said, without a credible opposition, we may end up with a one-party state. And once you end up with a one-party state, you can expect, the things that we will be going through. Whatever the government wants to accomplish, whether it's good for the people or not, they will find a way of accomplishing that. So honestly, the PDP should try and get its acts together so that it can play the role of the opposition, and then hope to get power back from, to take power from the current ruling party, so that in 2027, Nigerians will have the opportunity to either give approval to some of the things that this government is doing, or to show, the government that honestly we do not approve of most of the things that you do by electing a new government.
All right, and we see a story on the NCIA to the federal government telling them to implement policies that will elevate poverty. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we said, okay, the policies that have been put in place by the government are, if we were to be honest, are necessary policies that are meant to happen. He just had the hard heart to go ahead with it, but there's no buffer for Nigerians. So what buffer do you think the government can put in place at this point? Billion palliative to help Nigerians, elevate them from poverty, and make these reforms work but not really affect Nigerians and impoverish them before we start reaping dividends of it.
Well, but even the palliatives that people are talking about, like the government promised to come up with mass transit buses. We are not seeing them. The CNG is still limited to very few individuals. So there are so many things that the government is not doing to ensure that people are not suffering at this level. I know some will say sometimes poverty is actually a matter of choice for some. Some are living, beyond their means. Some are doing things that they know that they cannot sustain, they cannot afford. So those that are, trying to live, in accordance with their means, that's the ones that the government should pay attention to. But just giving out palliatives, like you said, will not be enough. There are so many things that the government can do, and the government has listed so many things that, they promise to do so many things, and right now they are not delivering on those promises that they have made.
Now, yes, President proposes stricter sanction on airlines over flight delays and cancellation. Have you had a personal experience with flight delays and cancellation? My flight has been late for 5 days after.
Well, I can't remember, recall the number of times that I have had to, either miss my flight or, face delay and what have you. And this is not the first time that the government will be saying, there will be consequences and what have you. But, they have not been able to follow through with all these threats. And somehow the airlines, they know that the government are just making noise. Once they do one or two things, they will be quiet all over. So the government should find a way of changing tactics, just talking, threatening to take action is not enough.
But what does this flight delay and cancellation say about our aviation sector? Because it's almost like the airlines are not even being held accountable. They are being overlooked and allowed to do whatever it is they want to do. What does this say about, our aviation sector in Nigeria?
Well, there is this problem also that we shouldn't do things that will end up taking all the airlines, out of business, because right now the few ones that are operating, if you look at, the money that they are expending to be able to remain in business, probably that's even what the government is looking at sometimes. But then they shouldn't be doing it at the expense of other things. Some people have very important appointments to meet up to, like some are traveling on health grounds, some are traveling for economic reasons. So many things are happening. So it shouldn't be because you want a particular airline to remain in business, you are not wielding the big stick. You should do that so that they will be forced to do what is right. So that people will now be able to get value for all the money that they are spending. Because right now, if you know what Nigerians are spending to fly, honestly, it's just unheard of.
Well, I would say we have covered a lot on the newspapers this morning. It was so good. We have one more story. Let me quickly get your thought. This whole costly by-elections worry INEC as IPAC demands credible poll. We see LP and APC supporting INEC on this, but what's your thought on it?
Honestly, we are spending too much, as far as elections are concerned. If you look at, I'm not saying we have developed, just like the United States of America, but look, we need a valid voter's ID. You need so many things.
So many things.
When you can use, for instance, you can just use your whichever valid, identity card you have.
We have a national ID card.
We have a national ID card. So why do we need, to come up with a voter's card that in the end, so many people will not even go to collect them, and then like a year or so ago, the government was all over INEC was all over the place saying that they will have to either destroy or burn uncollected voters' cards. So honestly, that's why we are spending so much, and then anytime you have to hold election, you need security, you need so many things, security all over the place. All the security men and women that you see, they are being paid some allowances. So that's why you end up with, all the billions you hear INEC talking about with regards to election. So if we will be able to ensure adequate security, without putting the police all over the place, not just the police, even the civil defense, everybody in uniform wants to have a role to play in election matters. So honestly, if we are able to get our acts together with regards to security, and then even for the people to have confidence in INEC, because sometimes it has to do with confidence. You just don't believe that if you allow INEC to have some space, you know, they will do what is right. So because of that, you know, you want to remain at the polling station after voting. You want to do so many things just to ensure that the right thing is being done. All these that you see, you know, they add up to the cost of election, whether in monetary or even in psychological terms.
All right, but this also begs on our attitude towards data preservation in Nigeria. As a Nigerian, I can tell you that you and I, you have a voter's card.
Yes.
You have an NIN, which is the national identification card. You have a BVN.
Yes.
Then there are so many identifications you have as a Nigerian that for every time you go, you have to create a new form of identification. You know, don't you think we should synchronize this data into one? Just like you have your national social security number in the US that works for everything you're going through, even probably during elections as well. You know, why are we still far behind in handling this, in what you've seen so far as a nation? What is happening?
Honestly, I really don't know why. But like you said, you know, the government will tell us today that they want to merge, you know, some agencies. They want to do. Why don't you merge all those that have been collecting our biometrics all over the place? You know, a voter, driving license, you know, BVN, so many things. And they want to keep it, you know, within themselves so that other people cannot have access to it. Even if that is going to be the case, I think the NSA, or there should be a body, you know, that has access to find a way of, you know, just merging everything so that we have one form of identification. That way, those that are fond of changing their date of birth, you know, changing their where they come from, and, you know, just to align with so many things, honestly, all that will stop. Because right now, you see even judges, you know, falsifying their birth record. So honestly, if we are able to have one functional means of identification, one that is credible, we'll do away with all this.
And they'll probably cut costs as well, because money used to implement all these policies and put them in place, that is still money. Money used to produce the NIN, used to produce the BVN, used to get devices, are all money. But let's touch a bit on insecurity. Military kills Turji's second in command among top commanders. I was telling Sumi yesterday, I said, I mean, that have they killed Turji? He said, no, he's on the run. Why? I mean, that has been on the run. But what does this mean for our fight against insecurity in Nigeria?
Well, you know, it's because Nigerians love hearing big names. You know, when it comes to criminality, banditry, and what have you, Turji has become, like, you know, a very known for his notoriety and what have you. But and it's clear, you know, that our security agents are now, like, you know, putting pressure on all these bandits and non-state actors. But that's not enough to say that you have killed second in command to Turji. Even if you kill Turji today, unless you do the right thing by following up on, you know, on all the smaller ones, another one will just come up. We've seen Boko Haram, for instance. You know, we all thought by the time you finish Shekau, that will be the end of Boko Haram. You know, Shekau has been dead long time ago, and Boko Haram is still there. So honestly, while I congratulate the security agents for all these successes that they have been recording, honestly, they should know that these are not enough. They need to do more so that even the situation, the circumstances that give birth to the rise of people like Turji, you know, will not even be there in the first place. All right,
now before we go, 15 died in an auto crash in Kwara. Yesterday we were talking about the tanker explosions, you know, tanker driving on the tumble. The state of our roads are something else. And we have major cities, major states that link the south to the west, the south to the south-south, the north and the south. And the roads in this place are alarming. We are seeing 8 billion naira being allocated to sensitization of public on electricity theft and all by the power sector. You're seeing, you know, 200 billion being owed here. You're seeing billions being mapped out for infrastructure in the FCT that already has a good road network. You know, when will we get it right in terms of, you know, the quality of roads we have in Nigeria to reduce the level of auto crashes, not just for normal cars, but even for fuel tankers that will fall, explode, and see the loss of lives?
Well, honestly, you know, there are so many things that are responsible for accidents on our roads. It's not just the state of the road. I agree that, many of our roads, are not motorable. In fact, it's even better for you to like go off the road if you want to have like good comfort in driving and all that. But the attitude of drivers, the attitude of passengers, passengers now see it as normal to be able to cramp themselves into just very few, like a Golf that is meant for 4 passengers. You see them with 9, with 10, and then people are, they don't see it as putting themselves in any form of danger. And then by the time they are on the road, you see we are supposed to have the FRSC and others, the police and other security agents on the road, but they are looking the other way. People are just having their a field day, doing whatever they want to do. So it's not just about the state of our roads. Even the attitude of those that are plying the road, honestly, need to change. If
you will say, driver, hurry up, we're rushing. Yeah. Where is this speeding to? Yeah. These are things that every Nigerian has a role to play in all of that. But thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been an honor having you here with us, and we always look forward to having you here on Thursdays where we could talk about stories. We've actually touched on everything, where you've given us in-depth thought and analysis and conversation on them this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And then we'll see you at the Trust Dialogue.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show this morning. The show was a bit different today because we're going to be joining live the Daily Trust Dialogue as soon as it starts. So yes, as soon as it starts, we're going to be joining them. But having said that, before we go, we'll let you go. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again, same station tomorrow. My name is Lilian Ogazi. Do not forget that always remember to keep yourself informed. Grab a credible newspaper or a news outlet. Make it your partner. Make it your seatmates. Keep yourself informed. Confirm that story before you share it or send it to somebody else. Try not to be part of misinformation in the country. Try as much as possible not to be. And please do well to read and understand government policies. That way you could hold the government accountable from an informed standpoint. They will not, gaslight you or term you an illiterate when you understand the policies and the constitution and the law and your right as a citizen. Please, that is the power you would have. The only thing that I give you that power is reading and getting information from the right sources. Well, my name is Lana, guys. We'll be leaving you with a beautiful explainer here to keep you informed, which is also our job. Do have a great day ahead.
Since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office in May of 2023, Nigeria has seen major shifts in policies, especially in tariffs for goods and services. These changes are hitting home for many Nigerians, and here's what you need to know. On May 29, on his inauguration day, the president removed the long-standing fuel subsidy. Overnight, petrol prices shot from 185 naira per litre to well over 500 naira, and in some areas 700 naira per litre. The government says it's saving billions, but Nigerians are feeling the pinch in their empty pockets. In April of 2024, electricity tariffs also shot up. Band A customers, for example, saw their rates jump from 68 naira to 225 naira per kilowatt hour, a 240% increase. The goal, to remove subsidies and save 1.5 trillion naira. But for many Nigerians, high electricity costs means tougher times. From September 1st, 2024, getting a Nigerian passport became pricier. A 32-page passport now costs 50,000 naira instead of the old price, which was 35,000 naira, while a 64-page passport is now worth 100,000 naira, which is up from the old price of 70,000 naira. Authorities claim the hike ensures quality, but many citizens say it's just another burden. Telecom operators are now pushing for a 100% increase in tariffs to cover rising operational costs. Initially, the Nigeria Communications Commission reassured Nigerians that there will be no hikes. But now, the NCC is holding talks with operators about a 40% increase starting January this year. If approved, 1 gigabyte of data will now cost at least 1,400 naira, which is up from the old price of 1,000 naira. Nigerians are left confused and concerned as the messaging keeps changing. So, how do these compare with past administrations? Fuel price increase and electricity tariff hikes aren't particularly new in Nigeria. Previous administrations made smaller and gradual changes. The Tinubu administration's approach, however, is bolder, bigger hikes and faster timelines, all in the name of economic reforms. The ripple effects are everywhere. Higher costs in transportation, food and other goods are more expensive. And the public outcry is glaring, with protests and frustrations over limited palliative measures. With inflation at 36.6%, rising prices are shrinking household budgets. The current debate on telecommunication tariffs means there will be a digital divide because higher telecom costs could limit internet access for many. These reforms are aimed at stabilizing Nigeria's economy and reducing government spending on subsidies, but they come with immediate pains for millions of Nigerians. To ease the burdens, experts say the government must act fast, provide social support, and communicate openly with the Nigerian people. The road ahead appears quite challenging, but with the right strategies, experts say Nigeria can navigate these tough transitions toward a more sustainable future.